I am here with Jeff from NFT the movie. I met you in Puerto Rico. We had so much laughs, so much good food, great drinks. We fantasized about where NFTs are going. You're capturing a documentary, not just today, but you've been working on this for years. And some people don't even know about the movie yet, and they may not even know who you are. So, Jeff, please introduce yourself, give a little background, and we'll dive into a fun conversation.
When they say that's my brother from another mother, I'm gonna tell you something, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, look at this. I just put if I cut my hair, and I was like 25 years younger, Ian's brother, but I am now officially his older brother, because older brothers have the stash, right? He's young, I'm old. I kind of look like the biker.
I'm still filling in.
Yeah, he's Batman. I'm biker. I mean, the two B's are in the house. But Ian, dude, I love you, bro. Instant love. Like when I met you, we were talking pre-show. It was weird, man. It was like, it really wasn't that weird, because this trip for the last 7 months, roughly, has been one door opening after another, and this real testimonial of being at the right place at the right time. And I believe that we were there. I mean, dude, I'm so grateful to have met you. To answer your question, I'm so glad you asked me how to introduce myself, because I could say that I'm the founder, the CEO, executive producer, co-director, which would all be true. But that's not really who I am. Who I am is a person who is trying to create a movie masterpiece by supporting artists, musicians, filmmakers, and technologists who are creating, monetizing, and protecting their craft through NFT technology. That is what I do on a day-to-day basis. If we're talking about NFT the movie, I just guide that vision to make sure every single one of those boxes are checked, and I live that mission, which is on our website, nftthemovie.com.
You've been an incredible curator. I think, I saw you in action in Puerto Rico. We run into each other, and it's like, oh, there's a connection here. Like, we should be buddies. Right? And then I'm like, you should come and stay at my treehouse in Santa Cruz. Come to the forest. And meeting with you, meeting Michael. And then I'm over at the Cardano Summit in Wyoming a few weeks ago. And there's NFT the movie guys there. And I'm at this at Crypto Money. So there's NFT the movie guys there. And I realize from spending time with you and watching how people take ownership over NFT the movie, where, that's my movie. Yeah, Jeff's my guy. Like, he's empowered me to do the things and the stuff. And I think what you've done is you've curated this incredible 7-course meal that documents all that is. And you're not trying to get in the sous chef's way. You're not getting in the dessert pastry chef's way and be like, no, this is how you do it. You're like, hey guys, we have some people to feed. And you're the best at this, and you're the best at that, and come over here and be a part of this. And you've kind of created this symphony as a conductor. And so
you're so right. Ian, you are so freaking spot on, dude. I swear to you, you are so in tune. 3 things that you said I'd like to respond to backwards. Number 1, and remember the AAA, because I'll forget the last one. I know how I am. But number 1 is brand. Yeah. I manage and lead the brand. I have to, because from that brand's point of view, like you just said, the next thing that happens is that delegation, is giving that rope to somebody else. Because if I'm the one tethering that balloon, if I'm the only one that's holding, I only have so much leverage. And lastly, the AAA. And I've been taught this, one of my mentors, who's actually younger than I am, James Greaves, great guy. He and I created Glyph ID in Puerto Rico about 3.5 years ago on a one-way trip. Anyway, the bottom line is he taught me the double A's, and I added another A. It's ability, access, and audience. Yeah. If you have the ability, you're going to have access. Then you're going to have an audience. Here's something that you said that is not a mystery. I want people to really, really understand the antidote to what you said, because it's assumed it's metaphorical when you say you bump into people and they feel like they have ownership. Do you know why they feel like that, Ian? It's going to blow your mind. After 14 businesses in my life, whether 12 or 13 of them were directly me and then me funding others and being involved in others, 14, 15, whatever, who's counting? I realized I am really good at certain things and I refuse. It's not that I suck. It's only 3 reasons why people don't do things. They don't want to do it, they don't know how to do it, or they're too damn lazy. I don't want to do it, bro. I don't want to do it. So when you see people out there, I want you to assume they do own the movie, because I'm going to tell you something that's crazy. 23 people have a small stake in NFT the movie as owners. 1 investor, a husband and wife. You may or may not, yeah, you will meet them in New York. Heidi and Josh Gilman, right? Amazing. So the trick is you can be a DAO and still have a profit model and still be able to protect your brand and still be able to lead it to a certain way. And you are spot on, Ian, as I pass it back to you. This has grown so fast because it is not a me, it is a mother-loving we.
Mother-loving we.
Mother-loving we, dude.
But the way you said
NFT that,
it worked for me. Okay, I have a question.
Dude.
I have a question for you. You've been all over the world. You're based in Utah, but you've traveled a lot, captured the stories. Where geographically have you found physical community of NFT homegirls and homeboys to be thriving that maybe people aren't aware? Like maybe people don't know that it's Crypto Mondays in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Or maybe they don't know that it's this gathering in this geographic, and you've had the unique ability to travel and become part of these different eclectic communities. And it's not just digital, it's not just Discord, it's not NFT Twitter, it's real life. Let's have a drink, let's have a meal, let's laugh together, let's cry together, let's capture a story. And as you've traveled, what's 1 or 2 places that you're like, you guys may not realize, but this place, their physical community of NFT people is fire. So is there anywhere or places that stand out to you?
So I've traveled virtually and I've traveled physically. The physically, just because remember, I conceived of this, I'm like, hey, maybe I should do a movie. I've never done one before, but yeah, why don't I do it? That's literally what I said to myself 7 months ago. Twice from Utah to California, both times in the red NFT mobile. This is the black one, the second one, because of course we're non-fungible here. And then, Texas, Puerto Rico, Florida, and of course, here in Utah a couple times around the place. And so we've been invited to Germany and I believe part of Europe and South America, Belize as of recent. And before we're done with this interview, and I know we have to keep it brief, the answer to the question is what I've found is that we are all, the reason I said I was a biker before I got on the phone is not because I ride bikes anymore. It's because I have that mentality and I understand what a biker is. I had a buddy visiting from out of town. I went to high school with him like 35, 37, 38 years ago, whatever it is, in 1987, and 35 years ago. And the long and the short of it is, dude, he is big. He was never that big in high school, man. He was fast. He wasn't big. He's got a huge beard. He looks like a biker guy. And my buddy Steve Bloom out of Philly was mentioning it, is like, dude, that's my kind of guy. And I'm like, me too. And it dawned on me, dude, like, I'm a biker, man. So here's my point of view. I see what I want to see because I see the bikers. When I walk into a room, I look for the Ken Bozaks. I look for the Brittany Kaisers. I look for the God rest his soul Jin Yus. I look for those outliers that don't necessarily make the papers. They're not meant to make the papers. What they're meant to make are history. Brock Pierce, right? So I can just tell you that we have now 50 people that are connected with NFT the movie, as whether they are shareholders and or people that we've interviewed that are in the movie, 50, which means each one of those people have some sort of an influence. You're talking tens of thousands and millions of people And so I think this community is growing so freaking bloody fast is because of this beautiful virtual opportunity. And by the way, Michael Berkland, shout out to you, buddy. Danny Drysdale, to you as well. Danny Drysdale, co-director. Michael Berkland, producer. And we met Michael in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And we're coming to that friggin' treehouse, dude, and rocking that treehouse, dude.
We are going to enjoy the deer and the bobcat, the turkey. We're going to see some foxes. It's like 100 kind of birds. We're going to swing. We're
Dude, I love it.
We're going to look at
I'm
the
out
ocean.
in the wilderness too, bro. I'm like right there at the Provo River.
Good.
This is my office.
Okay, I want to ask you something. There's two things you do with people really, really well.
Oh boy.
One is when you talk about them, you don't talk about them to bring light to you, like I'm this person's friend, aren't I special? When you talk about people, you talk about how they're special. And so one thing I've really appreciated about you in conversation, but also in the way that you facilitate documenting the story of NFTs, is that when you're bringing up relationship, you're not like, oh, I have social proof because I'm this woman is my friend, this guy is my friend. It's not like that. It's like, do you know about this guy? Do you know about this girl? Do you realize how amazing they are? So one is, I like the way you talk about people in that it's not about you, it's about them. And two, when you view people, from what I can tell, you see the gold in them, because there's all kinds of non-gold things in every human, and you pull out the gold in them, right? So like when you meet me, you see the best of me. And then when you interview me for the movie, you pull out the best in me. And so because of that, I want to ask you about three people that you had mentioned. You mentioned Ken and Brittany and Brock. And the reason I bring them back up is all three of them are so completely diverse from one another. Their impact in NFTs, totally different. The way that the world views them, they get demonized, they get glorified. All three of them are exalted and are suppressed. But you've had an ability to see the gold in them without exalting them and making them your hero and making it about them giving you social proof. And so since you brought them up, could you mention something about each of those three people, Ken and Brittany and Brock, that you think is just really unique, that you think that they specifically bring to the NFT community, that the community at large is graced because of their involvement and presence?
Absolutely. And I think I do a lot of, we were talking right before the show, my friend, ABL, always be learning, right? ABC, always be closing, blah, blah, blah. And I like to go to training. And yesterday, and I want to make sure I get this right, because I want to give credit where credit's due. I was going through this training, and I have some dear friends that has some very, very high impact training, and they invited me for free, and it's worth tens of thousands of dollars. Ray Perez. I normally do not ever do this, but this freaking guy yesterday really, there are more things I've forgotten than most people may ever learn in their life when it comes to business, because there's only so much you can keep in your noggin.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I'm going to break it down into one classification, and this will make total sense. I myself am a Taurus, and I do highly believe in numbers and signs and symbols. You know, the yin yang is more than just a symbol to me. It's how I live my life. And I will tell you that the three things that are in common with those three people, and if anybody knows those people, they cannot dispute this. They are CEOs. And a Taurus is a follower. We are not meant for leading. And you can look this up and anywhere you want. The reason we're so freaking vicious, a biker, right, is because we will follow you until we lose trust. And if we lose trust, you're dead. There's not like, hey man, let's have a discussion. So it's really a hard thing to live with a Taurus. That's why when you said something, and I'd like to embrace that. We're talking about superheroes. And I asked you, what's your archetype? And you thought for a couple of minutes and you were going really super deep. And I'll get back to your question, but we discovered that, of course, you're Batman. I'm like, dude, you're Batman in my mind, right? Sorry for the noise.
I'm not
And
Batman, but I am courageous. I just said I have no superpowers, but I have courage. It's just to be clear.
no, dude, you listen, you look like freaking Batman, man, without the mask. Uh, and so the bottom line is that I think that in that case, you always have your arch enemy. And this is, uh, this is Carl Jung in the archetypes that you have, your light and dark, your shadow and your, yin and yang. And so what is the opposite to the Batman? What's the opposite to Superman? Superman is his kryptonite, right? Or whatever the case is. And so at the end of the day, these people are fallible because they are just as fallible as Superman is. They're just as fallible as Batman is without a suit. He's like, he's just a rich dude kicking it with the cars in a house that's probably a tree house because there's no furniture in it. It's just a freaking right?
Gotta be a treehouse.
Right? He goes, you
No,
live up, he
I
lives
want a
below.
black
He lives
treehouse.
in the roots.
A black treehouse sounds like the greatest thing of all time. Never thought
There
of
you
it,
go.
but now I'm completely fantasizing about a black treehouse.
It'll track the sun and it'll power itself.
Nice and warm.
So the thing about it is and I'm going to tell you something I also am. I'm a facilitator. Brock knows, Crystal Rose knows, Brittany knows, Matt McGibbons knows, all these people that I love and trust, Major Dream Williams knows in Puerto Rico. If he calls me, I will do my very, very best to make that happen. And then I wash my hands of it like a pit boss. And I can't put my hands together and show them to the camera, but I'm like, look, I did my best and I move on. Most people, they go half-hearted and they have this anchor, this Ebenezer Scrooge like anchor that I haven't released off of my shoulders. I owe nothing to nobody. And so when I walk into a room, I'm willing to give and give and give until I find the villain. And let me end this part to this, and this is a little bit spiritual, and you could call it Christian, but it's not, it's spiritual. In every journey I've ever been in, I've always met a Judas. The reason that Judas appears at the Last Supper is Jesus knew when he was sitting there eating dinner, he even told everybody, after the third crow of the cock, whatever you want to say, watch my words here, cock crows, you're going to betray me. He's like, nah, I'd never do that, master. He's like, yeah, whatever, dude, let's have some dinner. And he stabbed him right in the back, right? That is biker mentality, dude. You do something with your colors, with whatever they call it, there's other names for it, and you defile your tribe, dude, you will pay for it like the samurai used to. They would just take themselves out if they defied their truth, right?
Yeah. So
at the end of the day, bro, what we're talking about on a day-to-day basis, you and I, is about life. It's not about www, World Wide Web, NFT, ABC, ABL. It's really about LOVE, bro. And I love you, dude. And I can't wait to see you in New York.
Yes. I'm gonna ask you one more question. You don't get to go
Sure.
yet. Or we can talk about Jesus just instead, because I love talking about Jesus. Anyway, to my question.
Yeah.
I say to you NFT 2024. And I say this reality, if you want to know the future, study history. And you have been a student of NFT present and history. Now, I'm not asking you to profit, but if nothing else, what do you hopeful happens with the NFT industry, community, technology over the course of the next 2 or 3 years, as you've had this really unique view to see what's happening today and how did we get there?
Such a great question. The only thing I can hope for is what has happened to myself in the last 7 months. I have been exercising for several years, 30 years, 15 different businesses. And during COVID, I was doing live events on Main Street with captains of industry for free, just to have them get on stage. And I told them, hey, say this, meaning the subject is humility. Let's talk about that. Put that in your business, or, pivoting, because that was the word was pivot during COVID. What are you doing to pivot? And so I kept flexing and getting my muscles ready or whatever. My body was in tune. And before I even thought about it, because we do it all the time.
Yeah.
The reason you stand in front of the refrigerator is because your subconscious is like, dude, I want to eat some food. And you're like, how the hell did I get in front of my refrigerator? Right?
Right.
It's not that you forgot where you were going. is that your subconscious led you what you were really thinking about,
Yes.
right? So I don't put a lot of stake into my conscious actions. I just try to do my best on a day-to-day basis to be available to people. So my vision in my life is to affect 100 people dramatically. Not in the movie. That's in my entire life, from since I was born in '69 to when I'm in the dirt. 100 people dramatically. I mean, they would swear in their lives on a stack of Bible that Jeff Crane's kick ass in some way, shape, or form, in some way. And they'll tell you about the downfalls and tell you about that pizza, but they would stake me.
Yeah.
And I've got some numbers. I count those people. Some come and go, but to me, I want to leave this place with a huge splash. They might not know my name, but they'll know kind of what I did. They'll know how they felt when they're hanging out with me. So I'm glad that you brought up Jesus. My hero is Moses, and it's only because he gives me license. Because Moses was a biker. He killed a Roman Pharaoh's guard. He
Dangerous man.
unfortunately left his first wife and found another wife. He got really super rich. He fasted for 80 days, not 40. So he beat Christ by 40 days. I mean, who talks to a
Double
burning
down.
bush but a freaking biker? So at the end of the day, and he had his colors around his shoulder, which was his tribe, and he led that tribe. Some had wheels, some had to walk, but he was the biker gang dude. And do you know why he was biker? And I'll leave you with this. He smote a rock to try to get water out of it. That's a dumbass. You can't take a corner at 100 miles an hour because you're going to hit the guardrail. Water doesn't come from rocks. That's why God's like, you're never going to make the promised land because you're so prideful, bro. You don't know how the system works. So the way you work and the way that I work is we flow with the water, man. We don't expect the rock to give us water. And I think in life, whether it's our relationships, whether it's our business, NFT the movie, or the magic that you perform, Ian, we just go with the flow, and it's not that hard because we're not smiting the effing rock.
Yeah, it's good.
Right?
So right. So
I mean,
right.
we're not expecting some blood from a turnip when you know that's not to. But does that give us an opportunity? You know what? Let me tell you something. If we don't have the rocks, we don't have hard feet. I shook somebody's hand the other day. I don't know who it was. I think it was a girl. And in a business setting. I'm very appropriate in a business setting. And that's about it. And she goes, "You have very soft hands." And in the old days, I would get beat down like the old school Burt Reynolds and John Wayne. And I looked at my hands. I'm like, yeah, man, I dig it. I love that. That is my sign of maturity, of wisdom. They're not supposed to be bloody and cracked, man. That's only your choice, right? I mean, if you want them to be, if you're like a deckhand or you love that and you're retired, you're like, F it. So if I had to give anybody any observations about my journey, about this journey and our team, is what you said from the very beginning, Ian. Let people have their part.
Yeah.
I cannot do what Heidi and Josh Gilman do and what Ali Udall, let me tell you something. The most underappreciated person on this planet is an executive assistant. My mother, single mother, was an executive assistant. Misogynized, utilized, everything you want to put into that.
Yeah.
In the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, she's now her own boss. She's retired, and she kind of flipped that. So my assistant, Allie, is why I'm successful. And I want people to know that, because it's not about the glory, but you got to have somebody leading, and it's a pain in the butt getting up super freaking early in the morning when everybody gets to sleep in. You kick their bed and like get up like a camp director. So guys, we go through a lot of pain. I've gone through so much pain on this project. I need 90 days off. This time next year, I'm going to bury my phone and I'm gone. But right now we have this momentum, Ian, and we are sharing everybody's story, and we're going to do as best we possibly can to continue people's stories. So with that being said, dude, I love and appreciate the fact that we have this time together.
I want to give a final word for anybody that's watching us. If you're watching us live or you see the archive of this, thank you for your attention. Jeff gets emotional talking about his executive assistant. And part of that is that it takes time for us to get into a conversation that would allow us to go deeper and deeper. And most of these conversations I'm having as the co-producer of NFT NYC is short, 5 and 10 minutes. And I don't give a lot of breathing room. You know, on the stage, most of the time as we're bringing up these VIPs and these sponsors and these builders and these collectors and these artists and musicians, and we're giving them 5 minutes and 10 minutes. But understand that if you're there watching this video, that the reality is almost every single leader in the world and the NFT space, if you gave the leader enough time to think about their success, it will almost always come to a place of emotion and tears and gratitude and thankfulness and humility, recognizing that they are nothing without their executive assistant, without their team, without their community. And so that is my final word in our conversation. And Jeff, I thank you so much for joining me, and I love you, and I'll see you in New York.
Dude, I love you too, bro. Can't wait to see you. And please sit down with me and impart some of this wisdom with me.